Hello, good afternoon. Thank you everyone for joining. We are starting shortly. Abigail will let me know when you're ready. We get us started. I hope you're all excited. Happy Africa Women's Day. And I hand over good afternoon. Thank you everyone for joining. We are starting shortly. Yes, so Abigail will let me know when you're ready. We get us started. That is a confirmation that we are also live on YouTube. So welcome everyone. So I'll hand over to Madam Abigail, who is the moderator of the day, to get us started. And we're excited that you're here, share with everyone. And we're seeing some of the speakers are joining. Welcome. Please, if you're a speaker joining with a different name, just update on the link with your name so that we know it's you here, and we are ready for you. Today is the Africa Women's Day, and we're very excited to have you here. Welcome, and we can get started with hand over to the moderator of the day, Madam Abigail, who has been the coordinator of the event right from the welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Joyce-Ann. Good evening. Welcome, everyone. We're so glad to have you here. In any language that you speak, we know Africa is such a diverse continent, so we welcome you in any language. Excited that you can join us now. So before I go into do an introduction, just as we have on our program, we're going to take the anthem of the African Union. So Joy, if that's ready, please let's have that before we proceed.
Tuungane sote na tushereke pamoja ushindi kwa ukombozi wetu. Tujitoe wenyewe, tusimame pamoja kulinda uhuru na umoja wetu. Enyi bwana na binti wa Afrika, mwili wa jua, mwili wa anga, tuifanye Afrika mti wa uzima. Tuungane sote tuimbe pamoja, kuenzi shikamano hatima yetu. Tujitoe wenyewe kupambana pamoja, uhuru na umoja vitawale. Enyi bwana na binti wa Afrika, mwili wa jua, mwili wa anga, tuifanye Afrika mti wa uzima. Tuungane sote na tujibidishe kutoa kilicho bora kwa Afrika, chimbuko la wanadamu, chemchem ya utamaduni, tumaini letu wakati wa mafarakano. Enyi bwana na binti wa Afrika, mwili wa jua, mwili wa anga, tuifanye Afrika mti wa uzima.
Thank you very much. That was the African Union's anthem that we just listened to. We're glad to kick off this program that we have worked so hard to bring to you, today being the 31st of July, Africa's Women's Day. My name is Adeze Abigail Ibunime from Nigeria, and I am the project coordinator for Africa's Women's Day Awareness Initiative, and I am one of your humble hosts for today. And I'll be taking us through the event program, and I am very sure that we're going to have an amazing time together. I also have here with me my colleagues who have also worked so hard to make this event a reality, and you'll be meeting them shortly. I'm speaking of Joy Wanjiru-Zen, who is the project leader, CEO Lumbin Lambo, who is the project facilitator, and also Linda Fernando, who is also the project facilitator. Your Excellencies, distinguished guest speakers, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols duly observed, we're super excited to have you all here. Welcome to Africa's Women's Day Awareness Virtual Celebration 2024. To our participants, if you're just joining us, please feel free to network in the chat. We hope this can also be a networking event. So please feel free to engage in the comments and also let us know where you are joining us from. Also share the links, the streaming links with your network. It promises to be a very enlightening and impactful event, and we wouldn't want anyone to miss out on it. I would also like to mention that we're translating in French and Portuguese. So please click on the globe icon that you see in your Zoom icons bar and select the language which you are most comfortable with. We would love to carry everyone along, and we have amazing interpreters who are working hard behind the scenes to make this event very enjoyable for you. We're also streaming live on YouTube, so you can also tell your family and friends to join us on YouTube. Yes. Today is the 31st of July. It's Africa's Women's Day, a day which was founded by the Pan-African Women's Organization in 1962. Here at Africa's Women's Day Awareness, July for us is Awareness Month. And our goal is to raise awareness about this day and ensure that more Africans, both on the continent and in diaspora, get to know about this day. And how do we do this, if you may ask yourself? If you've been following us on social media, you would see that we've been spotlighting women in a particular field, and I will explain a little bit more about that. So from the 1st to 31st of July, we spotlight 31 African women, highlighting their contributions to a particular field based on the theme of that year. Now, this year, we chose a theme in alignment with the African Union and the Pan-African Women's Organization's education theme. It's the year of education, and we recognize transformative power in empowering women and girls, shaping their future and fostering a sustainable continent. Hence, our theme for this year is Invest in Education for Climate Resilience, celebrating African women leading the climate change revolution. Now, we all know that climate change is a very critical issue in this day, in this time, and it poses significant threats to food security, water resources, and even our health. And across the continent, it's important that we educate women and girls about these impacts, empowering them with the tools that they need to take action and foster a generation of leaders who can drive solutions and sustainable practices. Now, this month, based on our theme, we spotlighted 31 amazing African women who are leading the climate change revolution. And I must say, for me, it was a very inspiring experience because a lot of these women are young, and it's just so satisfying to see that our youth are taking the charge and are trying to do everything possible to make our continent a better place. Now, tonight we have distinguished guest speakers who will do justice to our theme, and you will be meeting them shortly. And I would like to just briefly mention them and talk about them, but we're going to introduce them in much more detail when it's time for them to give their speech. First on the list, we have Mama Muthoni Gachanja Likimani, who is a founding member of the Pan-African Women's Organization and is also an activist and writer from Kenya. We have Honorable Grace Kabayo, who is the Secretary General of the Pan-African Women's Organization, PAWO. We have Madam Wanjira Mathai, who is the chair of the Wangari Maathai Foundation and Managing Director for Africa and Global Partnerships at the World Resources Institute. We have Mayor Yvonne Atisoya, OBE, who is the mayor of Freetown, Sierra Leone, and co-chair of C40 Global. We also have Dr. Eselina Makome, who is the CEO Financial Sector Deepening Mozambique, and also the chairperson, Standard Bank, Mozambique. We have Fatih Nzi Hassan, who is the director, Oxfam in Africa. We have Rosemary Idem, who is the program manager, Gender and Youth for Sustainable Energy for All, and she's representing Damilola Ogunbiyi, who is the CEO and special representative of the United Nations Secretary General for Sustainable Energy for All, as well as the co-chair of the United Nations Energy. We also have Judith Marera, who is the founder and CEO of Landforce Energy. We have Fahima Mohammed Ismail from Djibouti, who is the founder of Women's Initiative Djibouti and the Green Brigade Youth Group. And last but not least, we have Ms. Anel Bodwell from Seychelles, who is the co-founder of SIDS Youth Aims Hub. It's so amazing to have these women with us here today, and we're very, very certain that they're going to do justice to a theme, and we're looking forward to all the wisdom that we're going to get from them. And so without further ado, I would like to introduce an elegant and audacious woman to give us the opening remarks. She's no other than Honorable Grace Caballo. She is, like I mentioned, the Secretary General of the Pan-African Women's Organization. Honorable Grace Caballo, who is from Uganda, was previously the Executive Secretary for East African Region and served in the first interim ECOSOC of the African Union, and consequently in the first Executive Committee under the first President of the African Union, ECOSOC. She was the first woman Executive Director of the Global Pan-African Movement Secretariat, and at the national level has served at the Rehabilitation and Resettlement Program of Refugees and Displaced People in Northern Uganda. Honorable Caballo is also the Senior Presidential Advisor for special duties to His Excellency, the President of Uganda. She is committed
What did
and
he
a
say?
Pan-African activist, a mentor, a mother, who believes in women and youth as the key drivers to achieve the Africa that we want. In her words, embedding patriotic Pan-African ideologies in everything we do is a firm foundation to achieve these goals. And now I would like to invite Honorable Grace Caballo to give us her opening remarks if she's here with us. It is great to have you, ma'am. Welcome again. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very, very much. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
I've had to borrow my colleagues' connection due to network, but it's always a pleasure. And thank you for taking us through. Greetings and salutations, dear friends, comrades, family and friends, wherever you are, the Pan-African women, wherever you are, but especially the women in the diaspora, who has taken it so seriously that every year you join us and organize this, this virtual connection for all of us to celebrate the great day of our mothers, the Pan-African Women's Day. I'm so honored to be here, and the opening remarks will not be much other than the introduction of the Pan-African Women Organization, which started as far back as 1948 in activism, but was inaugurated in 1962 in Tanzania by Mwalimu Julius Nyerere and his colleagues who were in leadership at that time. It is then that our great mothers, like Bibi Titi of Tanzania, like Mam Phoebe Asio of Kenya, led by Margaret Kenyatta, Marehemu or the late, as the leader of the delegation that went to Tanzania. I cannot forget my mother, I'm sure, who is on this group today, that being Mama Likimani Muthoni, who was the first African woman journalist during the Mau Mau days. And I normally call her the best spy of the time. And I can't forget people like Jean Mata Cissé, who grew up to join the UN afterwards. After independence, there are great mothers like Pumla Kisosonkole, Mama Joyce Mpanga, who left us last year, Mama, excuse me, Namibia is quite cold. I could go on and on, but I'm sure somewhere on Google today or in our archives. I welcome you all to this group. Our IT girls in Nigeria, you are doing a great job. Our diaspora state, led by Comrade Lewis, Ketra, and your friends, you are very welcome aboard. But I'm also sure the PAO executive and membership is with us here today. Joinzens, I could not go on without thanking you for being consistent, being focused, being committed, especially to have taken the trouble to visit us in Uganda at our offices. That really energized us. Today, by the way, I could mention a few of our achievements. We did launch our first Young Women of Africa of the East African region that is led by Precious and her team, the deputy from Zimbabwe. These young women of Africa have officially now committed and joined PAO. And we welcome you. We know you are joining us tomorrow in Namibia when we celebrate the 62nd anniversary of the Pan-African Women Organization. And maybe for those who are not aware, every year or every 5 years, we commit ourselves to certain priority areas where we think attention should be given. And in most cases, really the attention is on peace and security, agriculture and environment, which is our highlight today, and being the reason why we always remember Mama Wangari Maathai, who did great work of creating awareness and the importance of our mother green, especially on our continent. And I'm happy to learn that Wanjiru, you are here with us today. I'm very happy to reconnect with you. Karibu sana and welcome. In Namibia, we are busy organizing the 62nd event, and because of different programs clashing, we decided Karibu sana. Okay. And to mention but a few, we are meeting here, of course, to emphasize on education, because education is the platform of everything. Education in environment, education in agriculture, education in even cultural norms, integrity, everything. You need to be educated. So education can never stop. And I'm so happy that our diaspora team chose environment. Environment is our health and life. If we don't have environment, then we have no life. Then we have no development and no production, no nothing. So viva to Mama Wangari, who created this awareness, and the Pan-African women. We have committed ever since to carry the mantle and move her talk. You may recall that we nominated her to be our first president of the ECOSOC of the African Union, and she did wonders. May she rest in total peace. We remember her, we love her, and we shall continue with whatever she left behind. So Wanjira, my dear, you're not alone. the Greenbelt movement. You are not alone. You have your mothers, the Pan-African women walking with you. I now come to my role today of the opening remark. May you allow me to declare this beautiful, worthwhile cause open today. And may I have the pleasure of welcoming the youngest girl today in attendance, Mama Likimani Muthoni. Karibu sana. You are so welcome. And I guess now it is back to you, Joy and your team, our MC of the day. Thank you very much. My names remain Kabayo Grace Majoro, the Secretary General of the Pan-African Women Organization, and whatever I have said is on behalf of PAO. Thank you so much. Aluta continua.
Thank you so much, Honorable Kabayo. That was amazing as always, very inspirational. And yes, I agree that Mama Likimani is the youngest that we have amongst us here. So, so we're glad to have her. Thank you so much. May I just also mention to those that are joining us, welcome again. This is the Africa Women's Day Awareness Virtual Celebration. We're glad to have you all here. We're now moving on. We've just had Honorable Grace Kabayo, who is the Secretary General of the Pan-African Women's Organization, give us her opening remarks. And I would just like to mention that you can find us on YouTube. We're going to be posting links. If you want to find out more, there's also a website, www.africaswomensday.africa. And now we're going to move on to the next segment on our program, which is to hear from Mama Muthoni Likimani. And I will just read about her so we know the amazing and very inspiring woman that we have here in our midst. Muthoni Likimani stands as a paragon of grace and poise, epitomizing a woman crafted for the camera and media. Her multifaceted career span roles as a beauty queen, author, and pioneering media professional. She made her mark at the BBC Swahili's Bureau Service and holds the significant distinction of being one of the first female producers at the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. Her illustrious career is adorned with numerous titles and accolades, and she is celebrated as author of African fiction, and her literary works have significantly contributed to the cultural and historical narratives of Kenya. Mama Muthoni Likimani remains a vibrant force, continuing her literary pursuits and mentoring the younger generation. Her enduring energy and commitment serve as an inspiration, showcasing a life dedicated to service, creativity, and the relentless pursuit of justice and equality. Mama Likimani, we're so blessed to have you here in our midst. We would now like to give you the floor to please give us your remarks. Do we have Mama Likimani here with us? Okay. Whilst we're waiting for her, can I also just prompt us to keep on mentioning in the chat where we're from, where you're joining us from, and also keep on connecting. Please join in the conversation. It's going to be an awesome event. So we're just getting the information that Mama Likimani may have dropped, but we're still going to have her come. We're going to move on to the next agenda on our program, and that will be to play a special spotlight presentation of the life of late Professor Wangari Maathai. As we all know, we're talking about the environment this year. We're educating ourselves about the environment, and we're trying to show the importance of taking action and late Professor Wangari Maathai did just this, just as we heard from Honorable Grace Caballo. Her work still lives on, her legacy still lives on. And we'd just like to let us know more about the amazing work that she did while she was here with us. So we'd try to get the presentation ready. Hopefully it's ready at this time. All right. Well, I think we have a bit of technical issues, but we're still going to get back on track. Hopefully we can get Mama Likimani to join us back, and also we can get the video ready for the presentation. Once again, I want to welcome you all. This is the Africa's Women's Day Virtual Awareness Celebration. We're very glad to have you all here. Please keep engaging in the chats. Please visit the website to know more about what we're doing. And if you don't know about the theme for this year, the theme is Invest in Education. We're celebrating African women who are leading the climate change revolution. And we have heard from the Secretary General of the Pan-African Women's Organization. She has given us a very great rundown on what the organization is about and how this day came to be. We're hoping that more people, both on the continent and in diaspora, will get to know more about this day and will also learn to celebrate it as well. So we're trying to get things together, and I think now our presentation is ready. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy this special spotlight of the life of late Professor Wangari Maathai.
In 1940, in Nyeri County, nestled in 1940, in Nyeri County, nestled in the Central Highlands of Kenya, Wangari Maathai's journey into environmental advocacy was deeply rooted in her connection to her homeland's natural beauty and her commitment to protecting it. From a young age, she witnessed the devastating effects of environmental degradation on her community. In 1964, Wangari earned a degree in biological sciences from Mount St. Scholastica College in Kansas, followed by a Master of Science degree from the University of Pittsburgh in 1966. She made history as the first woman in East and Central Africa to earn a PhD in 1971 from the University of Nairobi. Wangari's academic achievements were groundbreaking. She became the chair of the Department of Veterinary Anatomy and an associate professor at the University of Nairobi, the first woman to hold these positions in the region. In 1976, while serving on the National Council of Women of Kenya, Wangari introduced a revolutionary idea: planting trees to conserve the environment and improve the quality of life. This idea blossomed into the Green Belt movement, a grassroots organization that has helped plant over 20 million trees across Kenya. The Green Belt movement's impact extended beyond Kenya's borders. In 1986, the Pan-African Green Belt Network was established, inspiring similar initiatives in countries like Tanzania, Uganda, Malawi, and Ethiopia. Wangari's vision of environmental stewardship was spreading across Africa. Internationally recognized for her tireless advocacy, Wangari Maathai spoke on behalf of women and the environment at the United Nations and other global forums. Her fight for democracy, human rights, and environmental conservation earned her numerous awards, including the prestigious Nobel Peace Prize in 2004. Despite facing harassment, threats, and imprisonment, Wangari remained undeterred. protection of Kenya's forests.
I think that it is very, very important to continue encouraging our governments and ourselves that the
Okay, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We apologize for that. There was probably some connection issues going on, but we're still going to play that presentation again because we are celebrating also the life of late Professor Wangari Maathai. And we're glad to have you all here. We know that we're talking about the effects of climate change, the environment, and what we can do. So whilst we're trying to get things ready in the back end, hopefully we can get that presentation up again. Would like to know if we have our guest speakers here who are going to be in the next panel, or in the first panel rather. As I mentioned earlier on, we have some distinguished guest speakers in our midst who will be speaking to us about various topics relating to the climate issues that we're facing now. So we hope that you have your pens and paper and that you're ready to be able to take action with all the information that you're going to gain from this session. But before we move on to that, I would like to find out if we have Mama Likimani back. I also know that she's experiencing some connection issues. We have to accommodate these things because, as we all know, we are in Africa and these things are inevitable. So please, do we have Mama Likimani back on here? It would be really amazing to hear her.
If you're in the panel, sorry about that. If you're in the panel list for Mama Likimani, raise your hand up and we'll be able to pull you up on the stage just in case you dropped on the wrong space. Just lift your hand up and we'll be able, if you can see hands up on your browser, we'll be able to bring you up here. I've seen you've commented, but we have so many people who have used the Africa Women Day. It's difficult to know.
So we do have Mama Likimani here.
If you're here, let us know. Mama Likimani is having, according to the chat, we hear that Mama Likimani is still having problems to connect. So we will just wait and we will put her right on there. As you know, please all understand our guest is celebrating 99 years very soon. So we are very excited that she's here with us. You take all your time, we wait for you here. So there is no problem with that. Take your time. Just let us know when you come in, put your name on or put in the chat or type me on the WhatsApp and I'll be able to communicate back. So yes, hand over to you, Abigail, so that we can start with the panel. I can see we have
thank you.
guests here already.
Yes, thank you very much, Joy. I think we're actually just right on time for when we're supposed to start the first panel. And I would like to introduce our moderator for the first panel, who would be speaking to our speakers in that panel, and that's no other than Joy Wanjiru Zen, who is the project leader for Africa's Women's Day Awareness Initiative, and she's also the founder and CEO of Africa Women in Trade, AfriTrade, and also Africa Women in Europe. Joy, if you're ready, we would love to get started. I also know that we have our panelists here, or our guest speakers in panel 1 here. Thank you all for your patience.
Thank you so much. I hope you can hear me loud and clear wherever you are. Welcome, everyone. I want to salute you. Happy Africa's Women Day. Yes, today is Africa's Women Day, and we are excited to be here. And I want to thank you, Madam Grace Kabayi. You have been such an honor to hear you again, always honoring our event. And I'm happy to also be here with you as one of the panel discussion where we're going to the next step. And I'm very excited about this panel because this panel is going to tell us a little bit more of about what are we investing in the environment. Back to the theme of the event, which is very important for all of us to keep us aware of, is about the event. What are we sharing with your people? We want to know about how Eve is impacting you wherever you are in the Invest Education in Climate Change. What are you doing? Are you part of the change we are looking for in the future? And so I'm very excited to be here on the stage with my panelists, and we'll have an opening remarks that we're going to go straight. And I'm excited to have our very honored, more honored could we be than now having our own daughter of the Guru Mama that we just saw there on the stage. And I can see your camera is on, and you'll be joining us here as well so that we can be able to hear from you. But before you come in, let me read a little bit about you. Some of you who have never seen you here on the stage, and we are very excited to have you here because you can tell us more. You've been hearing it since when you're a baby until today, and now you're following the legacy. And first of all, Karibu Sana, my Kenyan sister. I'm very honored to have you here on the stage with you. It's such an honor. Most of people have never met you. I'll just hear about Wanjira, and your name is almost close to mine because I'm called Wanjiro, and you're Wanjira. And we have to find out the two maybe later what they really mean. And I'm very happy to have you here. And some of you who don't know who is here on the stage, we have a very, very honored Madam Wanjira Maathai, and you can hear that is the daughter of the late Wangari Maathai, and a Kenyan environment and activist. Is a management director of Africa and Global Partnership at the World Resources Institute, WRI. She was the vice president and regional director of Africa, co-chair of WRI's Global Restoration Council, and senior advisor to the Global Restoration Initiative. Additionally, Wanjira is the current chair of the Wanjira Maathai Foundation. I love foundations when I hear foundation, and we're here for another foundation too, and has formerly chaired the Green Belt Movement in Kenya, which is a very, very, if you have not seen this, please Google Green Belt Movement. It's such a big one, starting all the way from the beginning, from the legacy as we can hear. With over 2 decades of experience, Wanjira Maathai is a distinguished leader in advocating of social and environmental change on both local and international stages. Her strategy and advocacy roles has significantly elevated the prominence of global issues such as climate change, youth leadership, sustainable energy, and landscape restoration. So as you can hear, this is such a powerful guest here. She has also made substantial contributions through organizations like Women Entrepreneur in Renewable Energies. Please mute yourself. And then we also have the Wangari Maathai Foundation as well. We also have the Green Belt Movement. She's also part of the founder, and founded by her mother, who had the Nobel Peace Prize laureate, Wangari Maathai, in 1977. So I'm very honored to have her here. She's also a board member of the World Agroforestry Center, ICRAF, a leadership council member of the Clean Cooking Alliance, and a mother of the high-level group and Group of Africa Group Foundation. She is one of the few second EQ practitioners in Africa and has been recognized as one of the 100 most influential African women in 2018, 2022, 2021. Wow, I think we're gonna give you for 2024 as well. So congratulations and thank you to, for being here on this stage. I'm very honored to have you here, and very excited for this because your roles, I mean, and what you have done, the organization also following the legacy, which is sustainability, and I'm sure that, your mom is very, very proud of you. But today, since we are putting you on the spot and giving you the stage in which you have really maximized this, we just want you to help us to understand more details about this, to break it down for our women here, to understand what role do they play, especially how technology to leverage the impact of climate resilience education, and you can also share examples of innovative education tools or platforms that have successfully built the climate resilience as you go on. But before you answer that question, I really want you to give us an opening remarks also about what it is about climate change. Should we be serious or should we not? The stage is yours.
Joy, thank you so much. That's so kind of you. And obviously, before I start, I must honor the presence of the giants who have come before us. Mama Lee Kimani, as has been mentioned, she's a special gem to all of us. Her journalism was groundbreaking, and that generation taught us solidarity like nobody ever has. In fact, everything we do today in climate has to learn from the solidarity of generations that came before. They were so good as women, African women, coming together, connecting, activating, and amplifying their voices so that they made so much happen. A profound privilege to be here as well with Honorable Caballo, who I remember she gave credit to my mother for ECOSOC, but she was one of the main reasons that ECOSOC was a big success. It's wonderful to see you and all the other speakers, honored to be here in their presence as well, celebrating amazing women, African women leading in climate change, and also celebrating the highlights of strength, the resilience, ambition, creativity, the best, I think, of African women. African women are at the heart of climate justice. It is in their DNA to care about others, to show generosity, to show solidarity, to show collaboration. These are the traits that must be at the heart of how we address climate, because African women are at the heart of how we protect our environment, of how we produce food, or how we develop sustainability across our continent. The power of education, both formal and indigenous, the indigenous knowledge that we know, are really exemplifying of African women in many ways, finding hope where often there is so little. And in the face of what we now know are some of the worst climate challenges. I firmly believe, Joy, that, and everybody, that building climate resilience for us in Africa, and we have to guard this concept jealously. For us, it has to be about economic growth and shared prosperity. With the urgency of action, we are seeing some of the worst impacts. Some of the hottest days have been recorded this year. Some of the worst flooding Kenya has ever seen, and probably our continent has ever seen. Some of the fastest deepening poverty that we are seeing. There is an urgency of action and a shortness of time. And we are already suffering untold damage. And this is still, as we are hearing, not yet even 2025, because we know 2030 and 2050 are sort of the dates that are mentioned. It's really important to also reflect on the fact that science, to this day, which is at the heart of our education system. My mother, after all, as an environmentalist, was a scientist actually first. She was informed a lot by patterns, what she observed and patterns, because that's what science does. But what scientists in climate are telling us today is that the science that was recorded 20 years ago about today, things have turned out worse. None of the science predictions that were made 20 years ago were exaggerated. All of them have actually been in many ways surpassed or met. And so the predictability of science today about what's going to happen should be taken very seriously. And that's why when the IPCC told us that we as developing economies remain 15 times more vulnerable to climate shocks than most developed economies, there is nobody on this planet who can, and I repeat, nobody can adapt against poverty of the levels that we face. And so we know for sure climate resilience has to be about making sure that everybody shares in the prosperity that our continent promises. Across the continent, we know that sisters and our mothers have been leading innovative movements from communities to global initiatives, creating sustainable businesses around nature, around climate, and showing us that it is possible to protect nature and sustain the environment, to produce some of the most delicious food and protect the environment, educating us about the biodiversity and how it relates to bees, biodiversity and how it relates to water. I remember as a child, my mother would tell me how much her mother knew. Her mother could not read or write, but her mother knew that the Mugumo tree was responsible for the springs that brought us rivers. And so you did not cut the wonderful fig tree. Those trees grew 300 and 400 years old, and they fell on their own. And that indigenous knowledge was so rooted in science that we now know. That education is as important as any. Educating our communities and educating ourselves with the wisdom and the knowledge, educating our young girls with the skills and knowledge that we know. And of course, shaping policies to address the unique challenges we face. Our policies have to be shaped to address our issues. So I want to celebrate women across the African continent who are leading the way, dedicating their lives every single day to empowering local groups, working on landscape restoration, which is the issue I work on now quite a bit, is amplifying the work of local restoration champions, people who understand how to work the land and understand how to work the land for food and also to cushion us against the worst impacts of climate change. Across the continent, from Kenya to Senegal and north from Egypt, all the way down to South Africa, there are examples of thousands of women who are doing exactly that and changing their environments, but also changing their livelihoods and their lives. And those things have to happen together. So as we celebrate, let us make sure that we do not allow anyone to separate climate and development. It's all part of the same discussion. Climate change affects all of us, but it disproportionately affects those who are least responsible and who have the least economic muscle. We are often on the front lines, facing challenges like droughts and floods, as I've mentioned, food insecurity, but women are the backbone. We know that women are the backbone of agriculture, for example, on the African continent. 80% of the food that's produced on the African continent is produced by African women. But here is the greatest injustice of all of this. African women who hold the food basket, as I've mentioned, are also the hungriest and the poorest. That should not be. They often have no resources, no access to land, to credit, to technology, but they produce the food we eat, and they themselves are often left with the least. That is an injustice that is part of the climate justice movement, that we must address that inequity, that women not only be heard, as we have been saying in the past, but they are central in shaping the solutions that we address. So Joy, I want to stop there so that we can hear the wonderful words from our panelists, and just to say that at the World Resources Institute, part of the work and the partnerships that we're building with women who are in land-based businesses, because that is what will transform their lives, climate, and nature. Thank you so much. And thank you for honoring my mother on this day. What a celebration, really. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for actually taking this initiative and coming here as well. And you can see we are all excited. I can see on the chat quite a lot going on there, and we appreciate your time and also that message you say that we need to move that legacy forward and encouraging others to, and the youth, as you mentioned as well. We need to also take care of that. Thank you so much. But before you leave, because I have to as you said, Mama Kilimani, I should call her Shosho. Some of you don't know know Africa Shosho is a grandmother. It's even can't call mama. Is here and she's ready and she can't stay long. And she's turning 99 and we really want to hear her speech. I would kindly ask you if we can stay and then stay on so that we have her on. And then we continue the panel there with us. And also we are excited, all generations are represented here. It can only be really God to make sure that we are all safe. So I want to invite Mama Likimani. We are now ready for you. As soon as see the camera that is on, I'll be able to add her here. She's coming in. Let me hear. Can you hear me well? You can unmute yourself.
Yes, I can.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you very well.
Oh, fantastic. Now I'm going to add you here on this stage to make sure you're also part of this discussion and make sure that we are able to see you as well. So there you are. Wow, you look beautiful.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us. I know you had an issue with the connection, but we are here for you now. And I'm really honored because I met you last time I was in Kenya and we had a very great talk. We have to continue that conversation. So today we want to hear about you, about women and leadership, what you have been doing as well. You're coming in with the power, as we told you earlier. I know the environment has been your backend, but more in the background, but you are more in the media and also the leaders of power. And some of you who are joining right now, as you heard from, we didn't hear from Grace, who was introducing Mama Likimani. She is one of the pioneers in all areas, especially in the media. And she will tell us more. I'll not take so much of her space. Let me give you a space. We have a lot of people here in all levels. We have over 100 people here on the stage and also on YouTube. And we are ready to hear your wisdom. And welcome.
Thank you very much. The gadgets wanted to let us down, but God is good. One thing is that I thank you very much for inviting me to be in this forum on women of Africa. This is something I don't even know whether you'll excuse me if I jump or add some things perhaps you did not have in mind. As you can see, I'm the oldest lady among you. Some of you are as small as my children. And what I would like to say, first of all, I'm very, very happy to see you, women of Africa, standing up, together, and you are very big today. Is that first of all, allow me to say what I think I should talk, but I hope it will fit in what you had in mind. As you can see, myself, I am almost 99 years old. Most of my friends, even in Uganda or Tanzania, I don't even know where they are. Some are gone, those who are still there cannot even sit down and talk to me. I thank God for that. And what I would say is that allow me to go perhaps out of what you are saying. Myself at that age, I'm a daughter of a priest. And being 99 years, I have gone through problems in Africa. African women, you are great. Hold yourself and say, women, we are great. Without women like you, Africa would not be there. And that's why I talk perhaps outside your line, because you know better on that line than me. What I would say is, as a woman, I want you to hold yourself high, to know that women are the African backbone. Without women, there are no children. It is you as a woman who knows that the baby is growing inside you. Nobody else does. Husband may not. You tell them, I think something is going on, but they don't know. When that baby grows, when the baby is born, it is you as a mother whom that baby looks at. She doesn't know anybody else. It is you who will feed that baby. It is you who will take care of that baby. So, women of Africa, you have a big, big responsibility. But as I grow old, and as I say, I'm now going to 99, maybe you will come to my birthday party of 99, is that I was there, I watched, I listened, I participated when Africans were fighting for freedom. As you all know, Africa and in Kenya had a lot of problems. People suffered, but we held there. Women held their children. And it is important that we respect women. We must know that women have a role to play in Africa. You have to direct children there. Without you mothers, there would be no nation. It is you when things are so difficult. Without you, who go around and find a way what they can get to feed their children. Some of us in Kenya, we went through very, very difficult things. There was this fighting movement, but we survived. Women of Africa survived. And what I remind people is, well, now I am worried, and that's why I want to know. When I hear that some people outside there come and say they're taking our girls and boys, recruiting them to go and work in some funny places. Some are being killed. Women of Africa, you must control that. If there is anything like that, let it be run by you, not by thugs. And when I hear children are being taken in groups to be house girls somewhere, to do some dirty works there, I would like us to go back when you have, and when I can manage to come any other meeting, is to think, and you, if women have no employment in Africa, and you, women of Africa, organize yourself so that you know who is taking your girls overseas, who is getting them a job. You see, people just go, some are dead there, some are treated in a way I wouldn't like to talk on TV. And for your information, because you don't know me very well, I've been a media woman. I even write books. I even wrote a book on human trafficking, that babies, girls, and boys are being sold. You hear stories that in some areas, children are born in maternity hospital. Then they die. You are not giving parents to bury them. They say, we'll bury them for you. You are independent. Don't allow that. Hold yourself high. Organize yourself strong and make sure that you are independent. You are proud. You are Africans. We fought the colonialists. Now you should stand firm. And while I know you have a lot of things to do, I think you should think on how you can something business to do for our guys. Why do we have to get the international people to make us Sunday territories? Do you mean to say, oh, our girls, employed, educated or not, cannot get material to make it their own, divide between themselves, not to give money to us themselves? This is the kind of thing I do. Don't think that only outsiders who can look after you. We need people to work, educate these girls.
I think we
I
lost.
have with me here, I don't think I have to say mistreated, said here and there. I gathered it to ask, and I have about 10 publications called Women of Kenya, the indicator of independence. Women of Kenya doing this. Women of Kenya when they were fighting with their men during Mau Mau War. There's been so much. And now to hear that people are selling children, our girls, that they even sell their blood. I say our African blood is not the same. There is no market for it. And you must stop people and to be proud, to be with a dignity and refuse to be mistreated. I talk a lot. I was once a broadcaster. Broadcasters like to talk. But we must sit down, make movement while we are talking about what we do. We should also work hard to see the dignity of our community. And that's my message to this meeting at this time. I have a lot. Even I have all these publications here. Women of Kenya, 10 years after independence. Women of Kenya, so many years. I have about 10 of them here. I have a book which I wrote, and it is passbook number F07927. It is the ID which I used to work with to show that I'm allowed, I'm a Kenyan, I can be allowed to operate. Without this, I won't allow me to go. This is very bad. And we must be our women know that we went through. I do a lot of writing, and this book, which you can see it, is how boys and girls are being tied in their hands, being sold to unknown. They told, oh, there is no employment in Africa, you come, we'll get you a job. Next time some of them are brought back in coffins, killed by whom we don't know. One of such, it was killed in about among the women of Africa. You must protect your children. And I have a lot to say, but I don't think I can say much today, but I will write. I wrote in that book, I wrote another one there. This is a book about myself, showing what I have gone through. Thank God. I wouldn't say I suffered too much. I was brought up by missionaries. My father was a priest. So, but that it does not stop you from seeing what is going on across that region. People suffering, their houses being burned, their women being sold, their people being harassed, being beaten up. And this is what we must do. I can talk a lot, and I mean, my life is talking in the language, on writing. And now at the age of 99, that's what I would like to continue doing. And let us, we Africa, be proud of ourselves. Let us say we are there. You are lucky you have been to school. You are lucky some of you have a position. Don't allow people to come and mess around. You fought. You won. You took independence. And I feel very, very happy to see myself. And thank you very much for inviting me to be with you. But let us be very proud, very independent African women with a dignity, not being pushed here and there. This is rubbish. God is good. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I'm happy that you've shared the books, and I'm hoping all this will be on the chat. And I know your daughter. Thank you so much, Jane, for organizing this. I know Mom is also tired, but she is a media guru. She was the one standing on the first TV. So she still has the power, and we thank her for that. And thank you so much for that. Please put up the link down in the
I will. Thank you. I'll put the titles and the email address where you can write to get them.
Yes.
Okay.
I have actually one of the benefits. Thank you so much. I have one of
All
the
right. Thank you very much.
So we are also going to there's a spotlighting. We have been doing donation, and we'll share the link on the chat where we are requesting your donation because Mama Likimani, she's starting a foundation as well, and we want her to leave us a legacy together with her children. That is Jane and the team, and we have been collecting donation. If you feel like you really want to support the initiative, it's still up there. We'll share the link on the chat because we want all this information that is out there so that we can reach out more. Her initiative supporting girls, women who are in distress, and as you can hear that from the group. So thank you so much, Jane, for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. So we'll get off the. All right. Thanks.
So thank you so much for being patient with us. I can see the chat is all going on. Let us know your feedback, how you feel. Did you get what is your aha moment from all these speeches we are sending to you within the panel, in the speeches? So we jumped one, we had an issue there, but now we are back on track. And we are very proud. I can tell, let us be very proud. We hear you, Mama Likimani. Thank you. That comment was for you as well, right from Mozambique. Throw me there some energy, some comments to really support what you're doing. Also, broadcasting this, you can do that on the chat under everyone, so that we are able to see that here. I was also on the host weekend. Also, hi everyone, and I thank you for that. So just to keep on track on everything, and we are going to come back to those comments, keep throwing them in there. We'll review them as we go on. And any question, although we don't have some question and answer, this was more a celebration mode. So we are very excited to have you here as well. So we'll continue with the panel. And I will ask probably all my panelists so that I know you're here to add you here to be able to add you here on the stage. We will call you back as well, Madam Wanjira, to join the stage as well. I'm going to be adding you again here on the stage. Put your camera on so that I can add you here on the stage, and we can continue with this ongoing discussion. And I can see there, hi, Madam Fati. from Hazan, also from Kenya. Welcome. Let's see anybody else there who is in the panel list, and the panelist that we are talking about is the first panel. We are very excited to be here as well. I can see also Madam Selina is there. One of our guests we swapped, so we have another guest joining in the first panel because she'll be a little bit later. She's joining the next panel. And I can see here we have Mozambique champions here as well. Welcome, welcome. And also I need two more missing here, and we'll be ready to go. Just to remind you who are the guest speakers today, I want to share with you that we have Madam Fatih Nazi Hassan here with us on the stage. And before you did hear from Madam Mandira, just to make sure that you didn't miss out so much from the conversation, but we have been able to follow up all this conversation right from the beginning. And it's recorded. If you miss anywhere, don't worry, you can always come back. And we are going now to, I hope Annalie is also here. If you can put your camera on, that would be great. Then we can be able to add you here on the stage. Yes, I can see you're here. Welcome. And I can add Judith Marau is here as well, right on time. I don't know whether you wait for the next panel because we put you in the next panel. It's up to you. I think I'll add you in, we had already planned otherwise, so I'll keep in the second panel for now, so that we just keep the track. And also, I also am waiting to have Fahima. Is Madam Fahima here as well? Put on your camera so that we can add you on the stage. That will be great. And so that we can go on with this discussion. Also having you all here in present feels nice when you see people as well as we're interacting. Virtual is a space, sometimes it makes us very away from each other, but one of my guests there, I cannot see. I'm missing one guest, but let me know, put on your camera, Madam Fahima. That's correct, and I'm hoping that we can get going. So just to go back to the discussion of today, some of you who are joining today, it's all about climate change. How are we investing in educating ourselves in the area of climate change, environment, what is going on? And we have very, very profound women here with us who have been championing in these areas. We talk about Wangari Maathai, and now we have her daughter here representing, and she did a great job, but she's gonna come back to answer one question if she's not in a hurry, and we'll be happy to have her here staying. But for now, let's go straight, and if Madam, if you can unmute yourself, you're here, or raise your hand up if you're in the group, in the other group. Madam Fahima Mohammed Salma, let me know if you're here so that we can add in the group, but you still have time to connect. We know internet is not on our side all the time because of the timing. So I'm going to welcome now Madam Fatih Nazi Hassan. She's here with us. And first of all, just to also to just give about to do a proper introduction who you are, because we are here to celebrate you. So we give you honor, however big your bio is. We want to celebrate you. Want people to know the work you have done. And I've been told by translator to speak slowly. We have translators here, so you're here. French, we have French speaking. We also have Portuguese, and both ways, whichever language you feel comfortable as our speakers here and our presenters, feel free to use any language you're comfortable with. We are able to swap them around with the translation. If you feel English is not your strength, go for Portuguese, you have a Portuguese translator. And if it's French, also do the same. So I want to thank you so much. So Fatima has been an Oxfam Africa director since October 2022, and previously at the Africa Union Development Agency. She was joined in 2016 as Chief of Staff to the Executive Secretary, Dr. Ibrahim Assane, and she's subsequently held the position of the head of the Skills and Employment Program, which she supervised the creation within the same institute before being promoted to the head of Human Development and Institution Division in the last role with the Africa with AUDA and NEPAD. She oversaw the health component to the agency response of the COVID-19 crisis, the creation of the gender program, and numerous projects aligning of nutrition, education, employment, continental strategies, priorities. Before joining AUDA NEPAD, Fati worked in Europe for more than 10 years as a management consultant and program manager in large international groups, supporting the transformation of private and public entities. Fati holds a bachelor degree in statistics with major in the demography from the National School of Status and Applied Science Economics of Abidjan in 2002 and an MBA from ESSEC Paris in 2005. She speaks French, English, and Hausa. I hope I pronounced it right. I'm happy to have you here. Welcome on stage. And I know you have been also championing in the area with the environment. I will give you the space to tell us a little bit what area in your area of how policies, especially you've seen there, you have been really making sure strategies, policies are put in place, what policies changes are made and local, national, and global level to prioritize and enhance climate resilience education. And so you can also use that position also to tell us more about that and in your area of environment, how impact you have brought to the nation of this world. Thank you. The stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Joy. Good afternoon, good evening, all. I would like to start by congratulating the organizers for putting this event together. It's great to see African organization and African women taking some issues in their own hands and creating a space to talk about those issues that affect us African women. I was looking at the chat and was thinking it's great to see the diversity of the participants. And I hope that as African Women Day Awareness Secretariat grows stronger, you will be able to reach out to more and more sisters across language barriers. Today, I would like to speak to you about inclusivity in national climate plans. National climate plans are known as National Determined Contributions, or NDCs, and I will refer to NDCs quite a lot in my few minutes of submission. NDCs are developed by governments, by countries led by governments, and this outline climate actions and target in response to climate change in diverse sectors, because we know that climate change affects many sectors and climate action has to be carried in many sectors. You have employment, food and farming, energy, fuel, land use, transport, housing, health, travel, biodiversity and forest, water and infrastructure. Those are some of the areas where climate action is happening. So women, youth, and farmers are, particularly vulnerable to climate change. They face challenges that must be considered and overcome if we want to develop effective and inclusive climate strategies. The thing is that national climate plans are a timely and critical topic as we face ever-growing challenges posed by climate change. Women, they are a significant portion of the agricultural workforce in Africa. My sister Wanjira reminded that women are quite an important force. They bear the brunt of climate change impacts. And this, if you couple this with gender norms and societal expectations, you will see that their access to resources, to education, and to decision-making opportunities, these accesses are limited, and this amplifies their vulnerability to climate shocks. I would like to share a real-life case. As you know, we are present in various parts of Africa. We have country offices in many countries. And not long ago, I was visiting Somaliland, and specifically Ainabu. It's a community in Somaliland. I had the opportunity to interact with women, and the women told me that during the droughts, men take the few surviving animals and they leave their household in search of pasture. So they leave the responsibility of caring for the home and the family to their wives, to their sisters, their mothers, and even their daughters. And this responsibility also includes walking long distances in isolated places to fetch water. Additionally, some girls are taken out of school to assist their families during crisis, or they even married off. They're married off earlier than they would have been. This is to reduce the family's burden by having one less mouth to feed. So this is some of the aspects where climate change shows in aspects that we are not always considering. And the struggles and the pains that are endured by women and girls in this community, it's a reflection of the impacts of climate change in many parts of Global South or global majority countries. Similarly, young people face distinct challenges that are specific to their age group. They are inheriting a planet that is in crisis, with their future increasingly uncertain. You know that age dynamics often includes young people from meaningful participation in policy development and implementation, while they will be the ones the most affected by climate extreme events. This exclusion not only silences young people's voices, but also overlooks their potential as agents of change. Younger generation bring fresh perspective, innovative solutions, and boundless energy, all of which are crucial for building resilient communities. Now, if we want to talk about farmers specifically, again, many of them are women. Oxfam indicate that women account for nearly half of the world's smallholder farmers, and they produce from 60% to 80% of the food that we consume, including in Africa. As Wanjira has mentioned, women are the backbone of our economies. They are also at the front line of climate impacts. And this is the reason why agricultural practices must evolve. This requires substantial supports in terms of knowledge, finance, and infrastructure. Prolonged droughts, floods, cyclones, all of which we have witnessed in the recent years in many parts of Africa, these are destroying crops, they're threatening livelihood and food security. To address the multifaceted challenges, we must prioritize inclusive policy development and include all parts of the society that are impacted by climate change. Creating policies that merely consider the vulnerable is not sufficient. We must actively involve them in the creation and implementation of these policies. We at Oxfam, we've been pushing with other non-state actors to ensure inclusive national ownership and tailored approaches to meet the specific needs and priorities of women in agricultural value chains. Crucially, we push for more inclusive and meaningful engagement of women, youth, and farmers. These groups should be involved in the development of national plans that are defined, and they need to prioritize also African choices to combat climate change. This engagement is also essential for addressing socio-economic and development agenda. For example, going back to the NDCs, countries have up to February 2025 to update their national determined contributions in line with the Paris Agreement. Yet the last rounds of NDCs were prepared without adequate solutions. Oxfam found that NDCs were not sufficiently inclusive. They often fail to involve civil society and communities who are most affected by climate change and the impact of climate transition plans. Involving women, youth, and farmers in policy discussions lead to more comprehensive and effective climate strategies. When women participate in decision-making, not only in climate, but when they participate in decision-making, policies are more likely to be balanced between risk and opportunities. They're more likely to address gender-specific impacts, and they're more likely to promote gender equality. When youth are engaged, on the other hand, policies benefit from their innovative ideas and forward-thinking approaches. When farmers are included, policies become more practical and grounded in the reality of agricultural lives. Several countries have already commenced the process of updating their NDCs, and this is an excellent opportunity for civil society organizations to contribute to the much-needed shift in national and subnational policies and strategies for adaptation and emission reduction. This is how we will ensure meaningful participation of communities impacted by the climate crisis. We must deeply reflect on how to collectively work to ensure that the policies, the strategies and actions spelled out in national policies do not impose disproportionate burden on the lives of women, farmers, and vulnerable communities who already bear the brunt of the climate crisis and other intersecting challenges. At Oxfam in Africa, working with communities, we have seen the heartbreaking devastation caused by climate change. But we also have witnessed the transformative power of these inclusive approaches. By facilitating collaboration between governments, civil society, and vulnerable communities, we have seen how participatory processes can lead to more equitable and sustainable outcomes. We have seen women, youth, and farmers become champions of climate resilience, driving change within their communities and beyond. Despite the progress, there is much more to be done. We must commit to a future where inclusivity is at the heart of our climate actions. Empowering these groups does not only build resilience, but also strengthen our collective ability to face the challenges ahead. So let's continue amplifying the voices of key stakeholder groups, especially in environments where the civic space is increasingly shrinking, and to be particulate in resolution in our intent to locate women, youth, and farmers at the center of decision-making processes. At this critical turning point, because when it comes to climate change, we are at a critical turning point, we must move beyond mitigating the effect of climate change. We must seize this moment to fundamentally transform our world. We must imagine a future where our policies are not just reactive, but proactive, lifting and empowering all members of society. We owe it to the women who walk miles for water. We owe it to the youth whose futures are at risk. And we owe it to the farmers who feed us to not just include them, but to put them at the forefront of climate fight. This is more than a commitment to better policies. It's a commitment to a better world. So let us be the architects of that world. Together, we can turn the tide of history and meet this challenge with courage, with compassion, and with unwavering determination. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to share some of our ideas. Unfortunately, we have taken a little bit much time than expected, and I have to run to my next commitment. I wish you a very fruitful discussion and looking forward to meeting you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Madam Fatim. Thank you. I can hear the keynotes there you shared, very important that we need to involve our stakeholders. The stakeholders are very important. And I keep hearing that a lot when in policy making. And I'm in the trade area, and I like to hear that you add the farmers in there, you add the women, you add the youth, and today is the right place. So that, and we believe being on in that position of a woman in the Oxfam, you're going to bring the change, bringing the women here you have known who are in this area, and how can we put them on the stage. Myself, I'm experiencing, I hope it's not too loud. I think there's a hailstorm happening outside here with the weather climate. It was 30 degrees now. We have a lot of storm going on. So I hope you can hear me. Thank you so much. And thank you for being patient as well. Thank you for being patient. And we'll be happy to, if you could still stay, but we understand your situation and appreciate your time. So just to make sure that I have the my last speaker here. Let me know if you're here. Just put your camera on. Not the last, but the second last. But as soon as we are here, put the camera on. I think we're still good on time. We're just a little bit back, a little bit behind, but we'll catch up. We'll catch up with that as much as possible. So back to you, Madam Anaëlle Bordwell. I'm not gonna speak in German because I might read it in German, but it's Bordwell. So you're going to pronounce for us very well and clearly. I'm happy to have you here as well, and thank you for making time to be here. I know we swapped you back into this group, but you are very quick. You're very also on another another side of the world, Seychelles. And Seychelles is one of the countries that have really experienced the climate change and all that in real. And also being a young person, this is quite interesting to have you on this discussion, because we have talked about, we add the youth on this discussion. Here you are. So just to give you an overview of who she is, Anna is a youth ambassador of Seychelles and a passionate advocate for climate action and biodiversity conservation. Growing up in Seychelles, Anael witnessed firsthand the devastating effect of climate change. This personal experience, coupled with the displacement of friends and family due to climate-related threats, deeply influenced her path toward the environment activist. Anael's dedication to climate action found a significant platform when she co-founded the Seed Youth Aim, the Hub SYAH in 2023, which is also SYAH, SYAH, a regional network for youth from small island developing states, including Mauritius, Maldives, and many more. This organization has been instrumental in advocating youth-led initiative aimed at addressing climate change and promoting sustainable development through SYAH, and it has empowered countless young youth to take ownership of development issues and mobilize for impact grassroots level projects. So in that area, she's also multifaceted careers extended beyond environmental activists. She's also in the accounting field. Her diverse skills in finance, budgeting, and project management have been pivoting in her civic work. And she is also awarded a Queen Young Leader Award for her exceptional contribution to her community and her restless advocacy for sustainable development goal, particularly poverty elevation and health and well-being. And I dream of world where the plan pleas for small island nations are finally heard and greenhouse gas emissions are reduced to 1.3 degrees Celsius. Her vision is for a sustainable future where everyone, regardless of their background, works together to protect the environment and ensure a better world for future generations. So what amazing work you've done, especially in Seychelles, and also very young in your age. We saw your profile and we're very excited about it. But tell us, what has that impacted you, as much as you have read from what you have said, but in the direction of how the emerging trends for future direction, because you are the future, do you see in the field of the clean energy as well, as you talk about also about how much we should pay attention and how best can we do it, also as the youth listeners on the platform. The stage is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Joy. Thank you for this amazing introduction. First of all, happy Africa Women's Day, everyone. It's a real privilege to be on this panel, to be a part of this event, and to also be sharing the stage with so many inspiring women from across the continent. So if I can begin to answer your question, I would start at the very beginning of how the SYAH came to be. So one important thing that we had that is important for us to mention is that SYAH, or SIA as we call it, was founded by women, by girls who were passionate, who were really motivated to make a meaningful impact in their communities and in their regions, in their countries. And so at the beginning, we were all, I would say, from different regions, but we shared something common, which is our passion and our willingness to combat the effects of climate changes in our respective islands. And the idea behind it is because there are a number of conversations which happen both at a national level, at a state level, or even at an international level. But those conversations do not necessarily involve young people. And we're talking 10 years ago. So SYEH or SIA was founded 10 years ago, when the notion of climate change was still something very unknown to people. People would see firsthand, and they would experience, sea level rise. They would see our coastlines were getting washed away from rising sea levels. We would have very long period of droughts or very short period of rains, but we could not really match that to the concept of climate change. And this is where SIA came in. We wanted to educate people about the effects of climate change. We wanted to engage young people to collectively fight for their future, basically. And 10 years later, the NGO is still standing strong. It's a network of people, as you've mentioned in your introduction. It's a network of young people from different African island nations, actively combating against climate change. And some of our successes include ensuring that at every national and international conversation, the voice of young people is heard. And just to name a few examples, there is the SIDS conference, there's the COP. So we've ensured that at each of those meetings, there has been the voice of the youth being represented by at least one youth representative, and they're able to voice out the views and the sentiments of young people from the islands. Because what we've noticed is that very often the voices of the youth is either left behind, and this is especially more prevalent for people coming from island nations. So when we speak of Africa, there is a lot of focus that happens on the mainland Africa, but not so much on the African islands, who are equally vulnerable to the effects of climate change. What some of the projects that we have been focusing mostly on has been revolved around the Sustainable Development Goals, specifically climate change, but also in the sense of conservation, both on environmental on land and underwater. So the focus for this really is just because climate change is impacting every aspect of our lives, from health to socioeconomic development of our country, to the very pillars on which our country relies on, such as tourism, such as fisheries. And we've seen that climate change impacts our very way of life, our culture, our heritage, and everything that makes us African islands. And this is why it's important for us to really remain engaged and involved, and to get as much young people and the general population aware of what are those effects and how they can contribute towards combating those. And a lot of our projects have been focused mainly on climate action, meaning we've had beach cleanups, we've also had advocacy projects whereby we're going to communities, educating people, educating schools, universities about the importance of recognizing the signs of climate change, understanding what it means for them, but also what actions they can take to combat those. We've also done a lot of restoration projects, for example, in the mangroves areas within the universities, and different parts of Seychelles. And we're also, one of our pride and joy is the fact that we were one of the first NGOs to advocate for the ban of plastic bags in Seychelles. And Seychelles effectively became the second African country after Rwanda to have banned plastic bags. And this is one of our proudest achievements. And we are seeing firsthand what are some of those benefits that is coming back to us in terms of, environment protection, and just really empowering young people to take up actions and to meaningfully contribute to this fight. So thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. That's information I can hear. A lot of innovation in terms of the environment, how to push the agenda forward as youth. And I'm happy you are on the right tables. That's what I hear a lot in the organizations you have been, and championing that, and also being able to dilute it down to the younger people, because the problem is that sometimes it just stays on the high level. How do we bring it down to the young people? And you're doing the marvelous job in that area. And also with the plastic bag from Seychelles, that's amazing. Finally having that done, and you're the people where everywhere is water, so that means anything goes straight to the water. So we have to start supporting that. It's a big movement. Thank you for sharing with that. I can see we are just right on time, or with our timing, which is quite good, but we have missed one guest in case she joined in. And also we can follow up with any guests who drop out from our connection. We know, as we said, the environment affects also technology. Like it's storming now, I could not be having internet, something can happen. So we are not aware what happened to our guests, but I'm going to end this panel here. And thank you so much for everyone for really being here, and also contribution. There's a lot of comments there on the chat. Please leave also your details. All the speakers who are here, leave your details on the chat so that people can know where to follow you up. I know you're very popular. You just need to put their name on the Google and everything will be up. But let's get it from the horse's mouth themselves, so that we can be able, because here there's a lot of people who want to dig more. It's a big issue. How are we dealing with it? And I really hope that this message, using the Africa Women's Day as a platform to elevate this message this year, especially the whole month, has really done a great job. Thank you so much for that. And now I'm going to hand over the discussion to our moderator, our very able youth as well. As you can see, we are all handing over raw slowly by slowly. And here I am today. I'm very proud of Abigail. Thank you so much. And I hand it over for the moderation for the day. And you're doing a great job. Keep doing what you're doing. I hand over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joy. Thank you, Anel. Thank you to our distinguished speakers in this panel. There's so much to take away. It's really a blessing to listen to all of you. So just so that we're on time, we are going to move on to the next segment. Now we're going to take a few minutes to just look at the presentation that we have of the 31 women that we have spotlighted, including our distinguished guest speakers who we have here today. So if we have the presentation ready, can we? Whilst we also would like to ask our next guest speakers to please, I know that we have some of them, or most of them here as well, to please get ready for our next panel. Enjoy the presentation. Okay, while that is coming up, let me just also chip in again. We had Mama Likimani. Please do not forget that we're also raising funds for her non-governmental organization. Would have the link in the chat. So if you would like to support her, it's a blessing to have her in our midst. Please do not hesitate to do so. Thank you very much. And now we're going to have the presentation. We will definitely have it resolved. This is Africa. We are trying to also accommodate all technical issues. So please bear with us. We'll definitely be on track. Okay, for those that are just joining us, welcome. This is Africa's Women's Day Awareness event. Happy Africa's Women's Day. We're trying to get a presentation up, but if that is taking so much time, I think we can still come back to it. Do we come back to it, Joy, so we can move on? Okay. I think we'll probably have it later. If we have some time, we can share that later. We would also make that available at the end of this webinar. So I would like to introduce our moderator for the second panel. I know we already have our guests here waiting. We apologize if we've gone slightly over time, but we please ask for your patience. So without further ado, we have the moderator for this panel session, which will be CEO Lumbi Lambo. She is the project facilitator for Africa's Women's Day Awareness and also the founder and CEO of JB Dondolo. And I would now hand over to you, CEO Lumbi, to do justice to this discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, CEO Abigail and Joy, CEO Joy. Thank you so much for everything that you're doing. It's been beautiful. So may I please have the next panel speakers? I do have, if you can show your cameras, Judith. I believe the next one. Okay, everyone in panel 2, right? So Judith, you're one of them. And also Mayor Aki Sawyer. And Selena Macomb. Rosemary Idim. If you guys can please have your cameras on, then we can begin. All right. So what I'm going to do, I want to welcome you first of all, and thank you for staying on. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and start with Judith Marrera. She was supposed to be in panel 1, but you ended up getting put in this panel because of the previous engagement. So thank you all for joining. I see I have you all. So let me go ahead and start with you, Judith Marrera. Okay. So just so you all know who I am Lumbi Malambo, the founder and CEO of JB Dondolo. I am also known as the Water Lady. I think the name pretty much says everything. I am the Water Lady because I provide water in Africa and communities and everywhere. So now the keynote speaker is Yvonne Akitsoya, OB. Actually, let me start with you first because you're the keynote speaker, yes. So she is a mayor of Freetown, Sierra Leone, co-chair and CEO of 40 Cities Global, Sierra Leone. So who is Yvonne? Yvonne Akitsoya, OBE, has distinguished herself as a transformative leader and environmental advocate in her role as the mayor of Freetown. She holds the notable distinction of being the first directly elected female mayor of Sierra Leone capital city, as well as the first person to be re-elected to this position since it became an elected role 2 decades ago. Mayor Akitsoya's journey into public service began following a successful career in finance, where she accumulated over 25 years of experience in strategic planning, risk management, consulting, and project management. Her private sector expertise includes senior management roles in the UK financial services industry and raising finance for property developments in both the UK and Sierra Leone. Her return to Sierra Leone was driven by a strong sense of civic duty, notably during the Ebola outbreak in 2024. She volunteered to aid the crisis, an effort that earned her an OBE, which stands for Order of the British Empire, from the late Queen Elizabeth II, and an Ebola Gold Medal from the President of Sierra Leone. She later played a pivotal role as a Director of Planning at the National Ebola Response Center and served as a delivery team lead for President's recovery priorities, a multi-stakeholder initiative aimed at driving sustainable socioeconomic and recovery post-Ebola. Elected as mayor in 2028, Akinsoya launched the ambitious Transform Freetown initiative, a 4-year plan detailing 19 concrete targets across 11 sectors, focusing on issues ranging from environmental degradation to youth empowerment. Her administration's achievements include the construction of Freetown's first wastewater treatment plant, digitization and expansion of the city's property rate system, creation of over 3,500 jobs for youth and women, and the planting of over 800,000 trees under the hashtag Freetown, the Tree Town campaign. Her work earned her a place in Time Magazine's Time 100 Next list in 2021 and the BBC's 100 Women list in 2020. Despite facing significant political challenges, Akinsoya has remained committed to her environmental and social goals. She has also been an active voice on international platforms, including speaking at COP28 in Dubai and serving as vice chairman of the C46 Cities Global Group Steering Committee. Born in Freetown, Mayor Akinsoya graduated from Foya Bay College with a degree in economics and later earned a Master of Science in Politics of the World Economy from the London School of Economics. She is a chartered accountant and co-founded the Sierra Leone War Trust, SLWT, during the Civil War, an organization that continues to support disadvantaged children and young people in Sierra Leone. Mayor Yvonne Akinsoya is married with 2 children, and her leadership continues to inspire many, particularly women, to realize that gender should never be an inhibitor to achieving one's goals. Her tenure as mayor reflects a blend of professional acumen, civic responsibility, and an unwavering commitment to her city's and country's progress. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Please applaud Miss the Mayor of Yvonne Akinsoya. Welcome. Wow.
Thank you. I mean, can I just start by apologizing to everyone for having to listen to such a long biography? I was
No,
thinking
that's okay.
to you.
We're celebrating you, so that's okay. Wow, that's like, wow, that's like such an achievement. Very strong profile, very strong bio. I'm gonna go straight to it and just ask you these questions. How can technology be leveraged to improve climate resilience education? And can you share examples of innovative educational tools or platforms that have successfully built climate resilience?
Well, thank you again for that introduction. And yes, maybe I'll just take a step back and give a little bit of a picture of just what it is we're doing in Freetown and how technology fits in. So on today, African Women's Day, I'd like to congratulate all my sisters on the continent for this day, for a day in which we raise our voices and remind the world and ourselves of the importance of our role in making a difference to our future and to our present. In respect of our interventions in Freetown, climate resilience has become a necessity because climate change is real. It's very much here. We have just experienced, for the first time in our recollection, 23 straight days of rain. This July, from the 1st of July to the 29th of July, we recorded 1,570 millimeters of rain. This is compared to 2,079 from the whole year. Huge increases, and this is set to be the pattern. With that comes not only the challenges of coastal flooding, but also because the last 25 years have seen a rapid increase in the size of our population, and with that massive deforestation of our mountains which surround the city, this heavy rainfall brings with it also the risks and the actual realization of landslides. We've had 2 house collapses with the loss of 4 lives, but we've also had in other communities over 6 houses sink into the ground. So the flooding, the flash floods are also happening across the city. What we're faced with is a context in which our city is growing in size, but unfortunately, as the city council, we don't have land use planning nor building permitting within our mandates. Those very important functions are held at the central government level by the Ministry of Lands. And almost inevitably, because it is such a decentralized exercise and function, when it's held centrally, it's not effective. So we have this toxic cocktail of more and more people putting pressure on the natural landscape, creating informal settlements on the mountain slides as they deforest, but also destroying mangrove as communities grow along the coast. That's the scenario into which I entered as the mayor of Freetown in 2018, coming into the political space for the first time because of a desire to address the climate crisis. So specifically to your question of technology, technology has a huge role to play because technology both enables us to share information, to access information, to monitor developments. I mean, it goes on and on. I'll give you 3 examples of how we're using technology. Hashtag Freetown the Tree Town, which you made mention of, is a campaign to plant 1 million trees. At the time that biography was written, we'd planted 800,000. Actually, as we're speaking now, it's 977,000 already planted and in the ground. And right now, literally, I just had a meeting with the team this morning. We have 300,000 more trees that are being planted between now and the end of September. And technology is playing a key role because for us, Freetown the Tree Town is not just about planting the trees, it's very much about growing the trees. To grow trees, you must monitor the trees. To monitor the trees, we use technology. Every tree has an individual ID tag, identification tag, and it has a grower. So growers take a photo of the tree when they're planted, they upload them onto our digital platform, and then the trees are monitored by those same growers who care for them, and payments to the growers for that work is done on the basis of what they're uploading onto the platform. And then the payment itself is again digital through a mobile money platform. So here you see both the planting, the growing, the maintenance, the monitoring of the trees, and engagement with the young people who are learning the skills, but also using technology and being paid through technology as one example. Another example I'll give you in respect of resilience is the work that we're doing around our water investments, or what would I say, improving access to water. This is another system where we're empowering women on Africa's Women's Day. It's very important. We're empowering women and creating women-owned, women-controlled water kiosk operations. So here you have boreholes powered by technology, solar power, filtration technology, sales technology, kiosks where the women are in control and are able to utilize that water investment as a business. And the their delivering of that service is very much supported by technology. Again, in respect of resilience, another area in which in the climate space, we are using technology. It's a bit indirect, but nothing happens without resources. So being able to use technology to build resources for the city has been key. We introduced a digital system for our property rates. We utilize a satellite image of the city, and that enables us to capture all the properties within the city. We use roofline measurements, which is again a technology in order for us to feed that into an algorithm that gives us the property rates. The delivery of the demand notes to our residents is done using an app. And that app also cuts down on time and facilitates payment. We also facilitate payment through the system purely on a bank basis. So again, technology is enabling us to increase our revenue, has enabled us to increase our revenue sevenfold. And that revenue then is used to support our work. So these are just some examples. I could go on. Heat mapping is also technology. We've done heat mapping in the city to understand where our heat islands are in order for us to then come in with interventions, whether it's additional tree planting or market shade covers. That information helps us to take appropriate action to protect our women who are mainly outdoor traders, many of whom are outdoor traders. So technology has really been a key part of building resilience. And I'm sure I've gone way over the time, so I'm definitely going to stop now.
Thank you very much. That's very, very insightful. We really appreciate you all describing how the initiatives are working and what you're doing to empower everyone on the ground and the water resources and all that stuff. It's really helpful. So I have another question for you that I feel you could probably quickly answer this one. But how can urban areas in Africa integrate climate resilience education into their planning and development strategies to ensure sustainable city solutions? Some of that you already covered, but you may want to just summarize for people.
Okay. So I think it's about information, and information is best received, I think, through action. So I'll give another example of something we've done in the past. We've done it, I think, 3 or 4 times, and we're about to do it on an even larger scale. So from the 16th to the 18th of August, we'll be doing a tree giveaway, where around the city, we'll be giving away trees for free. And I had a council meeting this morning, and I said to the councillors that, you know, we had a tradition in many of our ethnic groups of when a baby is born, you cut the umbilical cord and you plant it with a tree. That's a culture that maybe is shared in other parts of Africa, but many people no longer do. Education that is practical, reminding people, linking it to cultural activities is a really important way of bringing climate issues to our consciousness. And just to close, another one very quickly, I'd say, is having engagements with the youth. Women are key, youth also, and youth also comprise 50%, 51% women. So we target the youth. We've just concluded today a Youth Climate Action Fund announcement where we are giving grants to youth groups to implement climate actions. So the practicality of action is actually a really effective way of educating. But it's also important to say the words. And so media programs, discussions, school nature clubs and so on are all practical ways, community engagements, having community disaster management committees within communities. There are a host of ways, but constantly referencing, constantly demonstrating the climate risk and what can be done about it and showing people their place in it is a really helpful way to improve our education.
That's remarkable. Yeah, that's what we need really in order to have everybody participate and grow and learn. So thank you so much for your insights. That's remarkable. And I hope everybody's taking down notes because there's going to be a test after the end of this. So you guys know, right? Thank you so much, Mayor Yvonne Akinsoya. So now I'm going to go to the next speaker. I know, Judith, I know you've been waiting, but I need to take Eselina McComb. She needs to go to another meeting right now. So I need to take you first. So welcome, Eselina. I'm going to go ahead and, share your bio here with everybody. So Eselina McComb is a financial sector deepening Mozambique, chairperson board of directors, Standard Bank in Mozambique. Eselina McComb is an associate professor at Eduardo Mondlane University with a PhD in information technologies from the University of Pretoria and a Master of Science from the London School of Economics and bachelor's in mathematics, teaching from Pädagogische Hochschule Dresden. I hope I pronounced that. I don't know how to pronounce this.
It's a German language.
Yeah, I know. She holds an international certificate in leadership for financial inclusion for the Fletcher School and completed the Certified Digital Finance Practitioner Program. She served as executive director and board member at the Central Bank Mozambique 2005 to 2015. She is currently the CEO of Financial Sector Deepening Mozambique, FSDMQ, and president of the board of directors at Standard Bank Mozambique. She is also a certified gender equality change maker. Her interests include ICT for development, digital financial services, green finance, and gender-related issues. Welcome.
Thank you.
That's beautiful. Right, I'm going to go straight to your... Thank you so much for being here. We're happy to celebrate you. And we're going to go straight to your question. How can technology be leveraged to improve climate resilience education? And can you share examples of innovative educational tools or platforms that have been successfully built, climate resilience? So that's the question.
Thank you very much. And first, to thank the organizer of this event for inviting us to be in that great moment where we celebrate what great women are doing in our continent and how are we contributing really for the climate of for our globe where we want to live for more in a safe way. Ruby, for your question, I will start saying that I'm seeing really that technology is possible to support us in that movement that all of us, we are in technology, in climate change. We have hearings experience for the emergence, Mr. Yvonne, that she was sharing what is happening there. I love really the experience that you give us regarding the monitoring of tree. Because right now that I'm speaking, we have been promoting the tree plantation, but we as a bank were not following exactly how those trees are growing. We give that responsibility to the municipality, but then we're not sure if that. Your example, your experience, really, I will push my people here in the bank to go back and share in this water to say that first, this moment is also a moment of sharing, a moment of playing. So if I'm going direct to the question, because I was just mentioned the other one, I'm seeing that technology, particularly the artificial intelligence, I do think that the machine learning, the artificial intelligence can support us in predicting what change of environment might come. So if we have all this data collected in a proper way and analyzed, technology can help us to predict what is coming, what type of changing that is coming, so that when specific cyclone is coming, we're not only seeing at that moment, we can see, we can understand beforehand and we can change. It's also that thing that I think that can help. But a very important area that we have not yet get is how are we bringing the indigenous experience, the experience that our grandmom, back, they have been using in order to protect the environment. How can we bring now so that we learn how we can move? And we can use technology to collect those experiences, and then we disseminate those experiences that can help us in that one. So I see the technology can help in different way. And here it's important that we have to recognize that we are in digital era. In the previous panel, we were seeing what youth people they are doing, but it will be important. What is the technology that young people are more interested? So those young people are the native of this generation of digital. So the question is, what type of technology can we put in their hands in order to help us in the mitigation of climate change? And in that regard, I see that the academias have also a very important role. What type of tools are we putting in place? I want to say also that from a point of view, I see that there is also, I don't know how it is in other places, but Mozambique is a country that has a lot of cyclones, is always having an event. Every year we have any climate event. And what I have found out in my research in the area of financial inclusion was that the most affected segment of population are women. And that one that are producing food for the family. So what can we do in order to help them so that they can mitigate those risks that might come for those events? But we're having here, we are promoting technology, which is good, but we have also to put ourselves, how are we managing the digital or the electronic waste? We are using those batteries for solar energy. We are using the cellular. We are using a lot of things. In the end of the day, if we are not doing anything with this waste, then we are going to say in some years that is in the sea. So I think at the same time, so while we are promoting the usage of technology, we have also to see how are we have to recognize that this is a waste coming and how are we managing. And here again, there is opportunity to recycle this type of waste, and it is also something that I think that is important. In terms of sharing experience, I will share one experience that I just go through. It was in June. In June, I visited the Mozambican island, which is a place that UNESCO has recognized to be preserved. And in that island, I learned with a group of women that are trying to bring some practice that women they are doing in order to treat, if I can say, to treat in a good way the sea. Because sometimes the sea is reacting that one because we're not treating as they want. And that bring those indigenous practice, knowledge, in order to see how do you treat the West and the sea. And there are a lot of experience that are bringing in order that those women in this group that we're trying to do. So I think there are different type of technology that can be put in place, as we have seen also from the previous speaker. But my point here is that also we have to talk and see how the indigenous knowledge, the indigenous practice are we bringing in order to serve, and how technology can put them in a place that people have access, but at the same time, it is also important that we recognize that, yes, it's good to promote technology, but we have to think that technology can be also a problem later on if we're not taking care of the waste that might come from there. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. You're sharing some very, I mean, I put very, very good insights here. A lot of good takeaways for everyone. So what is the most effective ways to secure funding for climate resilience education programs in this case then? And how can partnerships between the public and private sectors be fostered to support these initiatives? If you could just briefly give us a brief answer to that.
That one is a very good question, because it has been already say issue of climate is not the issue of one group. It's an issue for everyone. Any of us has to make a contribution. As a chair of a bank or financial sector, what is going is now we have what we call environmental, social, and governance. I think via that platform, it is a platform where it is a call for, in this case, for financial institutions themselves to say, you as a financial institution, what are you doing for that environment where you are based? What contribution are you giving for that one? And I think via that platform, I see that we can have some partnership in order to improve what we're just talking here, in order to improve. So we will not have good results that we're improving the life for anyone if not anyone is participating in that movement of bringing the climate as a key of all our activities. So I see and I promote that financial sector has to be more responsible also for the climate. So it's what I can say at this stage, taking the angle of that one. But I can also take the angle that I'm doing in the financial inclusion space at the FSD. Ourselves, we all want to improve the life of people. In the question, how can you improve the life of people if the climate, if the environment, if the land where we are not taking care of it? So really, it is an issue of inclusivity. It is an issue that anyone has a responsibility. It is not a responsibility, and that responsibility we have to do in partnership.
Absolutely. Inclusivity, affordability, and accessibility for everyone. Yes, thank you so much. This has been very insightful, and everybody's been taking notes for their test at the end. I hope you guys are getting ready for your test. Now let's go. Thank you so much, Miss Selena. Now let's go to
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. And it is a very pleasure. And some of the examples that I hear, I'm already pushing to my team here, because they have those program of 3 and I'm pushing for sure. And that one, I like it really.
Absolutely. All right, Miss Judith Marrera, we go to you now. I know you are a fascinating person. Everybody wants to hear about you, what's going on. So let me welcome you and share who Judith Marrera is, the founder and CEO of Lenforce Energy Zimbabwe. Judith is the founder of Lenforce Energy, a woman-led social enterprise in renewable energy. Born and raised in rural Zimbabwe, she witnessed firsthand the challenges women and children face in sourcing firewood for cooking. With a background in human resources and experience in Meteorological Services Department and World Meteorological Organization, Judith was driven to address the climate change. Her accolades include Women in Africa 2021 Laureate, 2021 Tony Elumelu Foundation Entrepreneurship Program and Beneficiary, and 2021 Uplink World Economic Forum Climate Justice Challenge Top Innovator. She has also received multiple awards from the Small and Medium Enterprises in Zimbabwe, the Chartered Institute of Project Managers Zimbabwe, the Zimbabwe CEO Network, and among others. Judith has spoken at prominent events such as Africa Women in Energy, Empower Conference, Agra Alliance, COP27, and the World Biogas Association Summit. Wow. I mean, I can go on and on and on, and still more is to come. So welcome, Judith Marera.
Thank you so much, Lumi, and it's such a pleasure to be here, and I'm very happy to be amongst a highly distinguished panelists. And I think you can hear from those that spoke before me that their profiles, they are quite high, and I'm happy to be walking behind the footsteps of such great people.
Absolutely. We appreciate you and we celebrate you today. And I would like to know, how can renewable energy systems be future-proofed against the evolving challenges of climate change?
So thank you so much, Lumbi, for the question. Our company, we do mostly renewable energy projects, that's in biogas projects. And that's something that we have seen that it can also go a long way in trying to bring about solutions when it comes to climate change. So for us to have a long-term vision for integrating renewable energy into global climate resilience, there are various strategies that can be that can work, and this includes a complete reliance on renewable energy sources. We know that we have various renewable energy sources that are available that include the wind, the hydro, the solar, the geothermal. And if we could have a complete reliance on such renewable energy sources, I think that will go a long way in creating a climate smart environment for our future generations, thereby displacing all the fossil fuels entirely. And for us to be able as also to make this a realization or a dream come true, we need to start working towards grid modernization. So when we talk of grid modernization, we are talking about smart grids and advanced energy storage technologies. And these technologies will ensure we have a stable and reliable power supply, accommodating the intermittent nature of renewables. Because we know that in Africa, we have a challenge when it comes to energy sources. Most of the people in Africa, they're still relying on fossil fuels, they're still relying on those firewood, charcoal, and these are so much detrimental to their health. So we need to have a decarbonized energy system that will help us in bringing a climate resilient economies around the world and in Africa especially. And we also need to have a culture between ourselves as Africans of energy conservation and efficiency, so that we maximize the impact of renewable energies that we use. And with all the different talks that are going around in Africa especially, we need to have climate resilient communities and economies, whereby renewable energy systems will be designed in a way that they can withstand all the extreme weather events that we face in Africa. We have heard from the previous speaker when she was speaking of the cyclones that are happening so frequently in Mozambique. We are also not spared from such cyclones as Zimbabwe. We are neighbors with Mozambique, so every time we hear that there's a disaster in Mozambique, we also try to, we know that some of these effects will also come to Zimbabwe as we are neighbors with Mozambique. So we need to provide critical services during and after disasters, having plans that are there beforehand to help the people who will be affected by such disasters. I know in Zimbabwe, some time back, we had the effect of Cyclone Idai, and so many homes were washed away, so many people lost their lives. So as African economies, we need to have plans and provide critical services. When we know that such disasters are coming, we need to have planned and have resilient infrastructure that is available and that can withstand these extreme weather events. We can also talk of having decentralized energy systems, whereby local communities, we need to have efforts to increase energy independence.
I think we got muted somehow. Can someone unmute Judith so she can finish answering your question? Judith, please unmute yourself. Yeah, go ahead and finish up your question.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So I was talking of having these decentralized energy systems whereby local communities can have their own energy system, like what we are doing as a company, Landforce Energy, whereby we're providing them with access to clean cooking solution through biogas, whereby households can own their own biogas digesters with they can have gas that they can use mainly for cooking or heating or even electricity generation. So we need to have these systems in place so that they will help in a long way in terms of distributing energy in various communities in the areas that we live. And we can also talk of sustainable economic growth because we have those traditional jobs that we knew they were existing, but now with renewable energy, we know that there are now new jobs that are coming in, and we need to empower, especially the girl child, to realize these new jobs that are coming into space and onto the labor market, whereby they can also participate in these jobs and participate in STEM jobs, so that either they can have careers in ESG, they can have careers as advocates for climate change, they being lawyers advocating for climate change in their areas, even in marketing, even in accounting. So we need to continuously make sure that our girl child are promoted. Hence the reason why we are celebrating Africa Women's Day today. We are celebrating it so that we make sure that the girl child also knows of the opportunities that are available out there and create jobs around our communities, and so that they know of all the technological advancements that will be happening in their communities. And we also need to have global cooperation and equity, whereby we work together as Africans. We share knowledge, we share resources, so that we accelerate renewable energy transition. And we would also want to talk about the just energy transition, whereby we'll be focusing on ensuring that the benefits of renewable energy are shared equitably, addressing the needs of vulnerable populations and economics in communities. Here, because the women have been traditionally disadvantaged. So when you talk of the just energy transition, we want to make sure that the voice of women is heard. The women also participate in decision making in terms of what they need as an energy source for them to go about their day-to-day businesses, for them also to do income generating projects, various income generating projects. So with renewable energy, we know that women can also participate and women can also benefit from this process. And we also need to make sure that whilst we are doing all the things that we are doing, we're empowering the communities and uplifting our people out of poverty. The women that I've been talking about, we know that women have been disadvantaged for so many years, so we need to empower these women, make sure that they are out of poverty. They have other things that they are doing that are income generating, and make sure that these challenges are addressed, and we make sure that we get where we want to be as nations, as African nations. We understand that there are other challenges that women may go through, like the technological advancements that take place. But we need to make sure that when you're doing research and development projects, we involve women. We go to institutes of higher learning and we cooperate as a private sector and these institutions to make sure that when they breed out candidates or graduates, we have more women. Even during the enrollment, they enroll more girls in these STEM fields so that we have a better future for those people that will come after us. And we also participate in policy and regulatory support. The ministries, the government should also work hand in hand with the private sector so that we make sure that the policies that are put in place, they also benefit the women because they've been for long being disadvantaged in terms of access to so many things. So with these few things, I think I'll end here. Thank you, Lomi.
Right. Thank you so much. I think you already answered also the second question, so that's great. I was just listening like at the long-term vision and all that stuff. So thank you so much for that insightful answer. And I'm sure everybody's taking notes and keeping track of all this. And I really appreciate you. So with that being said, I think we're gonna go ahead and go to our next speaker here. It's not Annabelle, so let's go to Rosemary. Yes. So Rosemary, you're next. And I want to kind of highlight a few things about you here so that, you know, we celebrate you just like everybody else. So here we go. So who is Rosemary? Rosemary Idem is a program manager, gender and youth for sustainable energy for all. So she's representing Damilola Ogunbiyi, CEO and Special Representative of the United Nations Secretary General for Sustainable Energy for All, co-chair of UN Energy Nigeria. Rosemary Idem is the program manager, Gender, Youth, and Sustainable Energy for All, where she is responsible for leading efforts on removing current barriers to women and youth participation in clean energy workforce, and in identifying, supporting, and championing the next generation of women and youth energy leaders to close the energy access gap and to ensure no one is left behind. She is here today in her capacity and also as a representative of Damilola Ogunbiyi. Rosemary didn't prepare for speech, but she will answer only her questions here. Welcome, Rosemary. Before I go to the questions, welcome.
Thank you for that kind introduction. I'm really pleased to be here at Happy African Women's Day.
Thank you so much. So what emerging trends or future directions do you see in the field of clean energy? And how can we continuously innovate and adapt climate resilience education among African women to transmit clean energy? I kind of combined all that into one.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for that. I know it's been a long day and this is the pain of being the last person, but I'll give it my best shot. First of all, to provide context, and it might be to answer the question. SE for All, sustainable energy for all, which we call SE for All, works in the section of energy, climate, and development, and looking at future trends and the direction we see the clean energy evolving towards. It's important to start by stating that the field of clean energy is a rapidly evolving and growing sector, which is fueled most recently by nations, stakeholders, and the private sector, who have now joined this global effort to ensure to make their own unilateral net zero commitments to reduce emissions by around the mid-century, and also outlining their ambitious long-term goals and targets for climate change mitigation. Now, these efforts are now being driven by investments, technological advancements, and policy support. But it's also key to note, like one of the key speakers before me stated, there's a focus also on inclusivity, particularly in empowering women and addressing gender disparities, which is crucial for sustainable and equitable development of the sector, hence the call for the just and inclusive energy transition. So to answer your questions, I would like to highlight three key emerging trends. The first being investment in clean energy. This has already been shown by the rapid rise of investment in the sector by 40% since 2020 in accordance to the IEA data. In Africa, some of this is being fueled by ambitious targets that are being driven by countries' energy transition and investment plan. This is an area where SC4O has been working actively in supporting countries in developing these energy transition and investment plans. These plans lay out how these countries intend to build their energy systems to support economic and social development and also achieve net zero emissions. So the plans allow countries to showcase the technologies and support the need to achieve these energy goals. Key examples where we have supported countries in developing such plans is in Ghana, in Nigeria, and in Kenya. Another key driver of this rapid rise in investment is efforts by multilaterals. Like an example is that I think in Q2, the World Bank Group announced plans to connect 300 million Africans to electricity in partnership with the African Development Bank by 2030. So if we take into context all these ambitious targets and goals, this has also fueled a demand for countries, governments, stakeholders to accelerate efforts to create enabling environments and policies that will increase finance flows to the countries, as well as increase private sector participation, which is key to achieving all these ambitious net zero targets. So a key outcome of this, which I would like to focus on, is innovative financing models. These have the potential to de-risk investments with for players in the sector and for countries, and also to aid private sector investment in these sectors. But doing this with a lens or with a gender lens also creates an opportunity to ensure that while these plans and these innovative models are being designed, women are being centered in these discussions to ensure that these investments also create pathways for women-led businesses and SMEs to access this funding to also create their own startups to and grow their businesses in this world, and also contribute to fighting climate change. Another key area related to investment I want to highlight is carbon markets. Global climate action continues to evolve, and it's becoming very, very clear that the African carbon market can be a pivotal development pillar for Africa to unlock climate finance across the continent. I mean, we've just heard Mayor Akisoya's project in Sierra Leone, which is focusing on planting trees. These are kind of projects that could also benefit from climate financing. Carbon markets have mobilized over 5 billion for carbon credits in the past 5 years, and Africa has the potential to mobilize up to 6 billion of capital, while also supporting the creation of 30 million jobs through carbon markets. So this is also an effort that the SC4O is also pushing with its partners under the platform of the Africa Carbon Market Initiative, where we are supporting countries to develop their readiness to tap into this financing pool. A second trend I want to also highlight is job development, particularly looking at the global renewable energy industry. This industry employs 13 million people, with women only representing about 32%. And if we go towards leadership, there are less than 35% of board members globally, directors are women. And looking at future trends, it is expected that this market will create close to 42 million jobs by 2050, which presents a very huge opportunity. So there's a strong need to ensure that spaces are created for women not to only enter this workforce, but to be able to grow and advance in their careers. Recruiting women would not just broaden the talent pool, but will also address the skill shortages needed to achieve these ambitious targets that are being pushed for across the continent, and will also strengthen products and services to ensure that these services and products address the needs of not just men, but also women and other marginalized groups. And this has to be done in a targeted and intentional way. I can give an example. The SC4O is currently implementing a STEM traineeship program, which is an end-to-end process to create a pathway for women to enter the clean energy workforce and also match them with jobs at the end. This program is currently active across Africa and Latin America. And coincidentally, Sierra Leone is one of the countries where they are implementing this program and training young women in off-grid electrification, where they are learning through electrifying health facilities across the country. And the final trend I'll highlight is technology. I think this has also been touched on by many speakers. But given that currently Africa has the largest energy access gap, and also looking at the fact that decentralized off-grid systems are one of the key drivers of electrifying people, particularly last mile customers, and ensuring that women in these off-grid places have access to electricity. It provides a unique opportunity for the continent with the continuous growth and advancement in technology, particularly if we look at solar PV, which is one of the technologies that has actually evolved and continue to advance year on year. Africa has the potential to also tap into this space, given that Africa is also one of the countries where some of the critical minerals required to develop some of these technologies are being sourced. So there's a need to also find ways to ensure that the value chain for the manufacturing of these technologies also localized on the continent. That way, it would not just, it would aid in creating more jobs across the continent, reduce the cost of system deployment, reduce the cost of energy for end users, and as well as also advanced technology on the continent. To answer your second question on how we can continue to innovate and adapt, I think this has been touched on by previous speakers. I mean, this has to be an intentional process. It has to be holistic. It has to be backed by policy, which means as countries are designing these plans and as organizations or multilaterals are designing these programs and initiatives, women and should be part of these processes from the beginning. And of course, you can't do anything without funding. Funding is critical to be able to actually do anything, and there's no shying away from that. And also, someone spoke about this, leveraging local knowledge and technology and traditions is critical to ensure that these processes are not just top-down, but also bottom-up. Thank you. I'll hand back over to you, Lumbi.
Thank you so much, Rosemary. Just you being the last in this panel discussion, you just summarized it all and kind of reminded everybody about what all the other speakers have spoken about, and also added more. So we added so much value to that. Thank you so much for your participation. Really appreciate that. So I'm gonna bring on Abigail and hand this over to her. Abigail, if you can please come on.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sia Lumbi. Thank you, Miss Rosemary Idem, the Nigerian in the house. We're glad to have you here as well. I think this has been such an amazing panel. Mayor Akisoya, Madam Selina Macomb, CEO Judith Marrera. We're also thankful, and even the panel before. And I just love the diversity that we have here. We could see how African women are excelling, and that's what Mama Likimani had said. We should be very proud of what we're doing. And this has been such an insightful session for me, and I hope it's been the same for our attendees. I can see all the comments in the chat. I'm loving all of the presentations today, Reina. A lot of great comments. Thank you so much. We're glad that you've all been here till this time. So right now we're just going to move on. Initially, we had planned to have 2 presentations, but as technology would have it, we weren't able to do that. But we're hoping that we can get some time to be able to show the 2 presentations that we had. One about late Professor Wangari Maathai, and also about the 31 women that were spotlighting this month. It's been a pleasure just listening to all the amazing women that we've had on this panel. And if you haven't really felt the need to take any action towards this very critical issue, I really think that by listening to all these distinguished guest speakers, you should now see and know that this is our responsibility. We can't just be dormant. From the youth that we had, I know Bodwell from Seychelles. It's amazing to have a presentation from these islands as well in Africa. And yeah, we're just really excited. So if our presentation is ready, we'll go ahead so that we can keep So beautiful to see. Thank you so much, Joy, for that lovely presentation. It's amazing to see all these women. So yes, these are the women that are leading the climate change revolution in Africa. And we know there are a lot more, but we're so happy that, we have this representation. And I'm inspired to do more. I don't know about you, just like someone has said. I think Ms. Favor Johnson Carlos says she's motivated to do more. It's the same thing with me here. And that's what we're hoping that you could take out at the end of this event, that you will be prompted to take action and do more in relation to climate change. So are we able to play the other presentation that we had initially, but I think we had some hitches about Professor Wangari Maathai.
Born on April 1, 1940, in Nyeri County, nestled in the Central Highlands of Kenya, Wangari Maathai's journey into environmental advocacy was deeply rooted in her connection to her homeland's natural beauty and her commitment to protecting it. From a young age, she witnessed the devastating effects of environmental degradation on her community. Driven by a desire to make a difference, she pursued her education with relentless determination. In 1964, Wangari earned a degree in biological sciences from Mount St. Scholastica College in Kansas, followed by a Master of Science degree from the University of Pittsburgh in 1966. She made history as the first woman in East and Central Africa to earn a PhD in 1971 from the University of Nairobi. Wangari's academic achievements were groundbreaking. She became the chair of the Department of Veterinary Anatomy and an associate professor at the University of Nairobi, the first woman to hold these positions in the region. In 1976, while serving on the National Council of Women of Kenya, Wangari introduced a revolutionary idea, planting trees to conserve the environment and improve the quality of life. This idea blossomed into the Green Belt Movement, a grassroots organization that has helped plant over 20 million trees across Kenya. The Green Belt Movement's impact extended beyond Kenya's borders. In 1986, the Pan-African Green Belt Network was established, inspiring similar initiatives in countries like Tanzania, Uganda, Malawi, and Ethiopia. Wangari's vision of environmental stewardship was spreading across Africa. Internationally recognized for her tireless advocacy, Wangari Maathai spoke on behalf of women and the environment at the United Nations and other global forums. Her fight for democracy, human rights, and environmental conservation earned her numerous awards, including the prestigious Nobel Peace Prize in 2004. Despite facing harassment, threats, and imprisonment, Wangari remained undeterred. She continued her work as a parliamentarian and assistant minister for environment, natural resources, and wildlife, advocating for women's rights, good governance, and the protection of Kenya's forests.
I think that it is very, very important to continue encouraging our governments and ourselves that the environment is not really an issue for tomorrow. The environment is an everyday issue. It's the air we breathe, it's the water we drink, it's the food we eat, and we can't live without these things.
Her legacy is one of resilience, courage, and unwavering commitment. Wangari Maathai's holistic approach to environmental conservation and social justice touched the hearts of people from rural communities to heads of state.
We are going to shed blood because of our land. We will. We are used to that. Our forefathers shed blood for our land. We will do so. This is my blood. And it reminds me of the blood that Wayaki shed trying to protect Karura Forest.
Wangari Maathai passed away on September 25, 2011, but her legacy lives on. Her work continues to inspire a global movement for environmental justice and sustainable development. She embodied the belief that the earth is not ours, It is a treasure we hold in trust for future generations. Professor Wangari Maathai's life is a testament to the power of one individual's dedication to making a difference. Her spirit endures in the trees planted, the lives touched, and the hearts inspired around the world.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much to our tech team. That was also a very amazing celebrating the life of late Professor Wangari Maathai. And yes, thank you. We've now come to the end of this amazing webinar, this amazing event. It's been so inspiring. And I just want to use this medium to say thank you to our partners. We have had a lot of partners who have supported us behind the scene to make this day a reality, and we're just so thankful to all of them. First of all, I want to say thank God, thank the Almighty God for making this event a success, because it's been a lot of work and we're glad that we could actually pull it off eventually. So I would also like to thank all the partners that we see. We have JB Dondolo for sponsoring. We have Africa Women in Trade, Africa Women in Europe. We have also Les Africans Online Media, the CEO and the founder being Madam Ndeye Magate Kebe. I don't think I see her here. We would have liked her to make a comment, but because of time, I would just like to say thank you so much for doing an amazing work with supporting this event, spreading the word to as sisters in the French-speaking countries. And just so I can also mention that the videos you've just seen, the presentations, these will be on YouTube. So don't worry, you can always go back to see everything if you missed something due to poor connection. I would also like to recognize our interpreters. We've had a lot of people behind the scene doing amazing work. And if I just want to mention them gradually, we have Miss Diane Tande, we have Bog Bethelene, we have Perema Soma, we have Kogan Adu, and so many. I hope I'm not pronouncing them wrongly. And we also have our interpreters who have been translating in Portuguese as well. We recognize you. We just want to say thank you so much for being here, and also to attendees for sticking with us up till this time. So now I'll just, because of time, I'd like to call Joy Wanjiru-Zen, who is the project leader, to come and just wrap things up for us. We're so glad that this could happen, and please don't stop connecting. Just keep on connecting. I see what's going on in the chat. We're so happy, and yes, thank you very much.
Wow. We kept time exactly 8. So that's really the first time we managed to keep you on time, keep everything on track. Thank you, Abigail, for being the best co-host. And of course, we have a lot to improve. And I want to know from the listeners, we are around 60 of you here or more. Leave me one comment. What is your takeaway word from today in regards to the climate change? And what is what the biggest change are you going to do, or what have you had today that you're going to bake? And I'm going to read all the comments as you put up there. I can see Juliana, you said very inspiring. I can see Margaret Lansem saying massive action. Yes, break it down and tell me what is the massive action you're going to take yourself or your organization, or what have you learned, something new also on the chat. I'll really love to see that. Also do that on YouTube. I know you have a few of you on YouTube. You can do that and you'll be able to comment, to mention that. But as you do that, I'll be coming back to read that. I want to appreciate all our speakers throughout the day. I know we had a lot of conversation, sending emails, all these programs just for the listener to know. It starts very early since last year. Very soon, we're going to continue with this conversation. We don't stop here. We have our weekly, quarterly webinars in regards to these particular topics. So everyone who have been spotlighted, we've been inviting them, whoever has time, to come every 3 months to also continue this conversation until next year when we come closer towards the next theme. There's always a different topic according to the Africa Union. Sometimes we work around it. Sometimes we think this is something that we have to initiate. As you said, we have to be on the table. We are on the ground. We know what it means. So if there's a topic you think we should highlight very much in regards to women in different areas, we have done last year, we did CEO. All this is on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel. Keep following us, and also on Facebook. And we will share the link again. They have been shared throughout on YouTube and also here. We're also on Facebook. We're also on LinkedIn as well, on an X Space, all those social platforms. And I want to acknowledge, first of all, the lady who has been doing their much work in spotlighting the 31, doing the research behind, and also being a designer herself. She had to take the load of designing. That is Madam Abigail, a very young, vibrant lady. So you're in that area and you need to promote your designs there, you keep seeing all these beautiful colors, flyers, all that. I'm telling you, she is so specific. We sometimes tell her, you know what, it's good, we're going to go, but she still wants to provide the best quality. So if you're also, we were looking for supporters, also sponsors, it comes very handy, because you can see most of the manual work we're doing here. We are going to do it as women. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. So we can also manage these meetings. It will be nice to subscribe and have sponsors managing these programs to make our life easier. So if you're a sponsor out there, and you can reach out to us through our email, which will be shared also on the chat, reach out to us, because when we work together, it's much stronger. We are doing this with the limited resources. Maybe one day we'll meet in person as well. So we are reviewing all these options, but we can only do it when you're better. So whenever you see us in the virtual, just know we are still getting there. So this is our fourth, if I'm correct, awareness program that you have picked up. As you have heard, we work very close with Power. We are waiting for signing up, Madam Grace will be signing up. The MOU is still on a discussion, so we are still moving on that direction. And there also we'll be celebrating in Namibia as well. And also, as Africa Women in Trade are really supporting this program, because it's still under Africa Women in Trade, women who are vibrant. I also recommend you to go check on our platform where we support women in trade. We have different programs coming up as well, like coffee and chocolate, intra-Africa trade fair that is happening in Equatorial Guinea next year. We are going to put that link there in that area. Yes, we are women, and we are also very active on the ground. Despite us being outside the continent, we are doing our very best. And I can see a lot of comments there coming up. I'm going to recommend to mention some of them. And I can see here, very inspiring. Thank you very much. And to all the panelists, kudos that come from Michela, if I said correctly, otherwise I'll read it in German. Juliana, thank you. Lobby governments. Yes, that's a big one. But I think the government, we are the ones who create this one. The environment has to touch with us, individual, right from your doorstep, as they are also figuring out how best to approach it. It's a big thing. So great to everyone. It has truly been an amazing session. Well done to all the panelists. Hug, thanks to the organization. Thank you so much, Ndive, for that. Lobby government, of course, Juliana, again, they're here. They're water advocate, Madam Lumbi. Yes, you have been you should also join us here on this discussion here, as well as Abigail, as you check on the YouTube, what other comments have been put there. Please go ahead. And also I can see here, also some comments there. I will continue to trace awareness and mobilize my community to take action, holding ourselves accountable while lobbying. That's from Margaret Lenz. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you so much. We appreciate the information. I'm getting involved in advocacy for climate. That Pumula, that must be from South Africa. Thank you so much. Yes, we love and the comments. Thank you so much there. And also quite a lot of information there from all of us. Takeaway, highlighting and preserving our indigenous knowledge when it comes to monitoring nature and making the right action towards climate resilience. That's very true, Juliana, as well there. You have commented very, very useful comments there. And Epiti, can you share your contact details, email? Yes, someone is asking for your details there. Anyone who is still on the panel list, you can share it. Otherwise, you can email us. We can always share with you this information as well. There's so much. I had a lot of funding. I like hearing good offers, a lot of funding that was happening in this discussion. If you didn't hear well, just go back to the discussion and follow up. There's quite a lot of opportunity, especially for those people who are really into agribusiness. This is your area where funding are happening, and the youth, which we had. And also not to forget, we had our last most very important, the generation that we should never forget, the old generation. Yes, we talk about generations older, but I can see there it will not come clear, but there you are. That is the book from Mama Muthoni Likimani. I also owned it. I own it now. It has been such a great book, and she has shared the information how to get the book, to read about leadership, especially as a woman in those ages. And she's turning 99 next year. So if you didn't hear the speech, you can listen to this again. So those are more the highlights of what we are going to do in the next. We are very, very consistent. We are also doing very improving as well, but very consistent. Whatever you see that next year will be the same. July, mark on your calendar. July, whenever you hear July, you have to look for Africa Women's Day. Do something in your area, in your community, and you can always follow us. We'll be doing something as well, and all the posters that we have shared there, we'll be sharing with you again. As Abigail mentioned, that we can always be able to you see everything else on. We upload all the videos, especially the video that from late Professor Wangari Maathai, and thank you so much for preparing that as well with your team, Abigail. That was really beautiful, and we will be sharing that also on YouTube so that you can share around on your platform. I was hoping, Madam Lumbi, you're there, you can put the camera on if you have any comments. And also, I don't know whether we have Linda still here. These are people behind all this hard work you see. Yes, there you are. See, we are a group. We are not a big group, but very, very busy. But probably next time we need to invest more into people. If you know of support, go ahead, reach out to us and see how you can support. And also the translator, I forgot that you did marvelous job. Very many of you, we were sponsored in this area, and I went there to listen, and you really kept to the word. Thank you so much for keep catching up with our pace of talking, but still be able to translate for our French speakers and Portuguese. Over to you, Madam Lumbi, if there is anything else we can add as we close the event.
No, I don't have anything other than to say thanks, everyone, and thanks for your time, and have a great day. Good evening, wherever you are. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for also creating time and also supporting us in all the coming webinars that are coming in the quarterly. So thank you so much. I'll finish the video event now. We'll have a short video as we wait for you to log off. And thank you everyone on YouTube for joining us. We are checking out from YouTube right now, and see you next time on 31st. And happy Africa's Women's Day. We love you, and God bless you all. Thank you so much.